This has been a great night, hasn't it?
Yes.
So much fun. So I have 2 poems today, and the first one is called Kiddie Pool. Lucy proposed to Maddie in the line of the double slide at the kiddie pool. Her one-piece ruffled bathing suit pinching around chubby cheeks. Do you want to get married? And you can be my husband and I can be your wife? Okay. Side by side, they climbed up glistening steps, grinning with uneven teeth, wide-eyed and brushing arm floaties. Holding hands with him, she scooted and then slid, tugging him along, arm bent back, but she held on tight. When they hit water, he let go of her hand and surfaced, kicking to grasp the edge of the pool, eyes scrunched against chlorine. She watched from below, eyes still wide and unbothered, pulling with her arms, pushing with her legs, reaching with stretched fingers towards him and towards the bottom of the sloping pool, both, even as her floaties carried her up. My second poem is called Yellow Bruises. I showered the other day, and for once, the boys weren't banging at the door, shaking the handle, calling Daddy. Yeah, Joey calls me Daddy now. Don't know what that's about. And I'm shaving my legs for the first time in weeks, and you know how I bruise really easily. Well, I noticed all these bruises on my legs. Just from them jumping on me or something. That's just how I bruise. But one especially was really big on the top of my thigh, already kind of turning yellow, and all bumping up off the skin. No clue how I got it. And now it hurts every time I touch it, or anyone touches it. Sometimes I push on it just to feel how much it still hurts, how it bulges up. I run my hands up both legs to measure the difference, still waiting for it to heal. It's more yellow than black now. Thank you.
Our next 3 readers will be Aaron Tim, Ronald Cloud, and Joseph Anderson.
Hello.
Hi, Aaron. I'm not going to mess with the microphone either. I'm loud. It's cool. Okay, so one of the benefits of living with a poet is sometimes he writes poems that you really like. And if he really likes you, you can say, hey, Isaac, I want to read those poems before you do. And sometimes he says yes. So I have 2 poems that are not my own. This is called The Silent Man by Isaac Tim. The silent man smiles, lips scarred by sister's stray softball when he was 6. The silent man is not silent, holds the chapel wrapped with his testimony, weaves stories with campfire smoke, paints with puns that make us roll our eyes. Tells a story of the time he leapt on stage at the USO show. In the photo, you can't see the woman, just shimmying sequins, and my father grinning like a jack-o'-lantern. The smile remains as my father is dragged, screen left, by 2 MPs. But he is silent on the man leaning against the car in the faded turtleneck, whose eyes never leave the distance. Silence about why that grin didn't leave Vietnam. Silent on the girl in black silk who walks toward him, only her smile seen under the brim of her non-la. Silent when I ask what happened over there. Silent when the drunken neighbor brags about all the gooks he killed. Silent as he flinches at that word. Silent after the story with no moral about the 6-foot Texan lieutenant who lost his head to a Huey blade. Silent as the snow hits the window of the truck as we drive deep into January. The second one is called Caliban Briefly Supports Big Tobacco. And this, if you're familiar, Isaac is writing some Caliban. Okay. So, Caliban Briefly Supports Big Tobacco by Isaac Tim. Caliban liked Big Tobacco's modality, fill the world with smokers. So he joined up, accessorized, bought a biker jacket with metal studs and a brushed metal Zippo. Purchased the cigarettes with the Russian comrade art, So when the beautiful people came to him for a fix, he would look hip, an extra level of sophistication to their satisfaction. Strangely enough, with a cigarette in his mouth, Caliban always had something to say. A joke, a clever turn of phrase to distract the blonde as they huddled in a group like penguins or under an awning, or slouched against a wall like lurkers aiming to pass off secret rocket plans before the CIA swooped in. And he would have continued, by God, how he liked to blow smoke in the faces of budding young Prosperos who marched forthrightly across campus with wagging fingers. Was your judgment of bullshit worth the second-hand cancer? Caliban would return with a smoky sneer. But one night, with the amazing blonde in his dorm, he reached for his Coke, but instead grabbed an ash can and got a swallow of 4 days of butts and backwash. He fell over gasping like a landed fish. It was then Caliban decided smoking wasn't for him.
Good evening, ladies and gents. I am brand new here, so I don't know what in the world I'm doing. So, I have a short story. It's by me, and yeah. So, brightness of day, darkness of night. Time will tell who will win the fight. Light rains down, filling the world with its beauty. An angel, soft, gentle, peaceful, stretches her wings into the grace of the new day. The golden grass of the meadow lazily dances in the sunlight. Her long golden hair shines in the light, more majestic than kings of old, and more heavenly than the stars above. She is covered with a simple cloth, just as majestic as she is. Every curve forming to her body, the silky material glittering as jewels in the sunlight. Each feather of her wings are perfectly white, and each hold her power. Power of good, power of right. However, this is not a lullaby. She did not descend from her throne on high to shine in the sunlight. She came to fight. She takes in her hand her most trusted friend, a simple sword, long, clean, naked steel. Its silver blade licks the air around it, thirsty to fulfill its purpose. The angel, with a powerful swoop of her wings, takes flight, leaving the meadow behind. In the air she soars, enjoying the wind on her face and the peace she finds in the heights. She knew which way to go, for the city was burning. The war was in full swing. For she must fight for her right and the light that sent her. Darkness begins to descend over the smoke-filled city, and the streets turn orange as the sunset and the smoke color the air with an unnatural glow. Darkness descends over a girl and her parents as the flames and death overwhelm their senses. Ashes fall like snow on Christmas morning as the world burns. Chaos fills the street as screams are heard, and as people run for their lives from the horror that surrounds them. Evil and packs descends on the inhabitants of the city, and as the small family tries to flee. The girl stumbles, and her father turns back and swoops her up with a free hand. In his other, he holds the black metal of a pistol, the barrel already warm from the shots fired. Already death was behind him. With a snarl, an enormous beast leapt out of the shadows behind him. The mother let out a scream as the beast attacked her, letting her blood flow from her arm onto the unforgiving ground. The father whipped around and let out a roar, firing his weapon. 3 times it rang out, its sound being lost in the chaos around him. The beast cried out, its own blood now spilt onto the unforgiving ground. "Come on," the man cried as the mother scrambled to her feet, holding her arm gingerly. They ran like fire, leaving only ashes behind them. They closed their ears to the screams that followed behind them. They closed their eyes to the horrors that surrounded them. They ran as far away as they could and as fast as they could. Soon the exit to the city was near. Soon the noises were falling behind them. Soon the family started to hope again. Then, out of the sky came crashing down a figure of darkness. It stretched forth its black, leathery wings, the last rays of sunlight causing them to look as if they were on fire. The sun lay behind the creature and draped her in darkness, her black hair covering her face. But you could still see her smile, an evil smile. The father raised his weapon and without hesitation fired. The beast raised her wing as a shield and then screamed at the man, taking to the air. Then with a twist, the dark angel spun, pulling out her trusty blade. And without any other warning, the man's blood flowed from the corpse to the ground. The mother screamed at the sight of her husband in death, but was cut short as the blade ripped through her body as well, taking the breath from her side. The demon walked away slowly, breathing hard, pulling her sword behind her. It was a simple sword, long, clean, naked steel. Its silver blade lit the air around it, its thirst satisfied, eagerly tasting the blood afresh. The girl, alone, curled up and started crying, her world shattered. The creature turned back to her, gazing at the child. The girl looked up to see a hint of golden light from her hair and starlight from her dress. The last ray of sunlight fell from the angel, and her dress turned black, sleek and beautiful, her hair dark as midnight. She had a deadly beauty that caused the world to hold its breath in awe. The girl remembered the cruelty that the creature had just dwelt to her family, and she shook with anger. "Devil!" she spat. "Depends on your perspective," the angel said softly. She took flight once more into the night, leaving the girl wallowing in blood behind her. Brightness of day, darkness of night. Who's to say what is wrong and what is right? For what is wrong to one may fill the other with light. Time will tell who will win the fight. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Joseph. I'm a librarian here at the library.
I love you, Joseph.
Thanks, Joseph, for the library.
I just want to quickly thank our Mormon friend over here. I read poetry, but I've never had a piece bring a tear to my eye, so thank you.
Good job.
This is a nonfiction piece called Without Words. On Christmas Day, Mr. Rod Weiberg of Logan, Utah passed away. He was 95 years old. I never met him, but I knew him a little. I first came across Weiberg at the library's reference desk while flipping through religious and spiritual diversity in Cache Valley one day. I read an interview with Weiberg, who was profiled as an example of the Mormon faithful in our area. If I remember right, he spoke about his life, his marriage, his gardens, his woodworking, and his faith. He described his house just a block west of Main Street and a couple blocks from our own house. I visualized it and then filed away what I'd learned in my mind. Fast forward a couple of years, my wife Amy and I delivered a few newspaper routes around our neighborhood every morning. We discovered that one of our customers was Mr. Rod Weiberg. His address was confusing because he lived on a corner, and from the address number, it seemed that his door should have been on the other side of his house. Maybe the door had been moved, or maybe whichever unpaid city employee assigns house numbers just messed up. Once we successfully located the home and spent time walking past it on a regular basis, we noticed his gardens. He was right to remark on them. They were beautiful, yet somewhat gaudy for the small size and location of the property. He kept them up in memory of his wife, who had predeceased him. Anyway, you don't see many stone statues in residential yards in Logan. Nearly every morning as we rode our bikes or I walked past his house, Rod backed his nice maroon pickup with a camper shell out of his driveway. On a couple occasions, we converged in just the right way, so that he sat in the cab directly in front of me on the sidewalk for a brief moment. He would wave, and I would wave. I sensed that our beards engendered a certain unspoken mutual kinship. But most times we would just miss each other, he backing out first or me walking by too early. I never failed to wonder where he might be headed in the pre-dawn hours. Later I learned that Weiberg left early every morning to drive a mile uphill to the Logan Temple. We received the news of Weiberg's death the same way we do any change to our routes, on the sheet that comes attached to the top of every bundle of newspapers. Customer deceased, it said. And that was it. Every morning since that inappropriately impersonal announcement, I look at his house and think for a moment that I should deliver there, only to remember that it's empty, no lights on, no one to take the paper in, no one to tend the gardens.
Thanks, you guys, that was great. Okay, so our last three readers that we have signed up, though we do have some time if anybody else wants to sign up for open mic, but our last three readers that we have signed up are Kaylee Dunn, Zach Gregory, and Ron Jensen.
You guys are all really good, and it makes it really scary to do this. Thanks. All right, this is my first time doing this, so I'm sorry if I'm
Welcome.
shaky and scared. Okay, this is called She Tucks Herself In. Giving butterfly kisses, he kneels by her bed, folds her small legs in mismatched blankets, brushes her curls from her forehead, and rises to leave. 6 years old. See the light shine under the door, slip sockless feet from the twin-sized warmth, enter his room. Cops plays on the TV, yelling, chaos, and sirens surrounding. Tonight he's passed out on the floor by his bed. His neck is kinked as if a vertebra was taken. Pull at his arms, tug at his legs. Notice the wet spot on the floor. Patiently whisper, "It's okay, Daddy. Sometimes I wet the bed too." His body flops like a dead fish. Pull and tug. Finally, maneuvered flat. Cover him with a soiled blanket. Place a yellowed pillow under his head. Tuck him in. Push the lit power button. Cop submits to black peace. Walk through the empty house. Lock the doors. Shut off the lights. With one more look at his lifeless figure, she returns to bed, but this time she tucks herself.
Hello. I'm Zachary Gregory. I'm wearing my bag because I'm going to be writing or reading two poems that are about experiences when I was wearing this bag. So, and they're about bikes. I'm really into bikes. But one of them's not done yet. I hope you can forgive that. But let's see.
Oh no. Here, let me help you start.
Yeah.
Thank you, Joseph.
You know him in talk.
Thank you. Okay, cool. I push down. The chrome cog clicks loudly in protest in the force of my legs. Numb to the ache, my skin, highlighted in green, smashes into a wall of quick red. Fuck it. The methodic trance neutralizes gravity. The buildings separate rhythmically, falling upwards, and my body follows the bricks. The sound brings the ground back up. The drummer punches me, the teenage driver screaming, calling me a faggot. I keep my head down, my legs moving, and he can't see me, but I'm grinning. It's called Red. And this one is not done yet. It's called Street, though. I'm not a very violent person, but so don't be scared. This is just one time. Okay, this one's called Street, if I haven't said that. A steady crimson stream flows from my knuckles, falling off my middle finger onto my canvas shoes. Rubber soles push the broken glass into the asphalt. 4 teenagers, all looking like models out of an Urban Outfitters catalog, are glued to the side of me. Heirs to the throne, Daddy's love in the shape of a tinfoil-colored BMW sits with its doors wide open and a smashed mirror. Somebody shoved their fist through it. Their accusing eyes stare at me. Bloody knuckle, my sweat-drenched face and hair painted black in road grime and bike grease. I'm fucked. I've never been in a fight, never said no to one either.
Right.
Hi, Ron.
I never thought it would happen. I never thought I could say. My wife, at the end of the day, helping others, never to me. Married a scene. This wasn't to be. Then I found Kaylee. The game's come to you. You better have. I sure love you. My last year, yeah, good year, 2015, when I started my green, the inner Kaylee, one thing led into another, and eventually I met her mother. I kept on dating, until finally, along came the wedding ceremony. Now we are married, and no longer courting. Good to come, 2014. Colette, a good thing about my marriage, which I won't forget, is that he's tough father to Colette. Just a joy to be a guy. A better child is hard to be found. Takes good care of all pets. A better friend is hard to get. He gets 2 days, all the classes. Teachers don't like her, without any classes. I love her so, this means a lot to me. You got to be part of the family.
Does anybody else want to do this? Got some time if anybody else wants to. Okay, well, we've had a great night. Thanks you guys for coming. We have our next Helicon West event will be April 10th, right back here. And it will be poetry at 3, the poetry group that we've been in forever. I will be reading, Star will be reading, and anybody else from the group here? It'll be great. So please help stack the chairs back up by the side of the wall, and then Star, is there anything else that we need to know?
Thanks for coming.
Thank you for coming.